Hi, I'm Pat Goss, and this is Goss's Garage.
On I-495 out of loop between Maryland 4, Pennsylvania Avenue, exit 11 and Maryland 214, Central Avenue, exit 15, traffic congestion, average speed of 20 miles per hour.
Now, in previous shows, we have talked about some of the plastic parts on modern automobiles. Well, I don't know if you've looked at your car recently, but there's all sorts of stuff that's plastic on a newer car. The bumpers are plastic, the grille is made out of plastic, the lamps are all plastic, the trim is plastic, even parts of the engine are made out of plastic, and now, underneath the car, well, things in the fuel system are made out of plastic too. Now, plastic works well when it works, but when it fails, you'd be amazed at how much some of this plastic costs. Now, here we have, of all things, a plastic fuel tank. Now, this vehicle had been all over town. It had an intermittent check engine light. It had an evaporative emissions control system code. Now, the evaporative emission control system, well, what it does is it puts pressure inside the fuel tank for so many seconds or minutes, and then it watches as that pressure goes down. Well, if the pressure goes down too fast, that means there's a leak, and that leak could allow fumes from the fuel tank out into the air, which isn't supposed to happen. All right, well, anyway, this vehicle wound up in my shop. And what we found took us a lot of digging. And the way we found it was with a smoke machine. We use a machine that fills the fuel system full of smoke, and where the smoke comes out, well, that's where our leak is. And believe it or not, what we found was right here. This is the fuel filler neck, right there. And it's bonded to the plastic of the fuel tank. Now, could we repair this? I had all kinds of ideas, but before we did it, I called my insurance company, because when you're dealing with fuel and stuff like that, something that you really aren't skilled in or certified in, well, the insurance company said, don't you touch that. If you do, you do it on your own dime. We won't cover you because we don't know of a practical way to repair one of these fuel tanks. Okay, can't argue with that. All right, so what wound up happening was that we had to buy a new fuel tank, and in this case, the fuel tank was $1,600, believe it or not, just to get that little seal right there repaired. All right, we're seeing more and more of these problems, evaporative emission control system codes, and these various fittings that go into the tank, from the fuel filler to the vents to the evaporative emission and so on. They come loose from the plastic, they allow leaks, and that means you get a check engine light and a code. So make sure that the shop that you use has a smoke machine if you have an evaporative emission control system code, and that they check all of these various things, because on this vehicle, the owner had spent more than the cost of this tank just in testing and failed attempts and so on. So if you have a question or a comment, drop me a line. And if you want more information, check us out at goss-garage.com. Drive gently. See you next time right here in Goss's Garage.